What is going on, everyone? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Glad to be back. It's been, I think, a few weeks since we've done one of these. I was much too sick last week to actually get through a thing without coughing a bunch. No guarantee that does not happen today. So if I have like a coughing attack, I apologize. It's still like deep inside of me, but hopefully we're going to be good. Sleeper draft today, question mark? No, we're going to do back to Underdog. We're going to do Best Ball Mania. I'm still not sure if I can actually join drafts on my computer, so I'm just going to join it on my phone. I will give you guys the heads up when I'm like 15 seconds away from joining that, so that when you hear me say join it, that's when you can join in. So if you guys want to queue up, it's going to be, Best Ball Mania, so $25 draft. If you want to queue that up, I'm not joining yet. Again, I'll give the heads up. I'm just going to let a few people get on into here first. Why don't we start it? Okay. If you're hearing me say it now, join. I'm going to do it in about 15 seconds, given the delay. I'm just looking over the questions right now. We'll get into all of these questions, so keep firing them away, even if I'm not hitting on them during the draft. Enter now. Even if I'm not hitting on them during the draft a little bit, I'll answer them after the draft, so don't worry about any of that. I'll refresh this page, and we will hop on into the fast draft. It should be this one. Looks like you guys have an opportunity to join, because there's still seven spots available in it. Okay. Hoping we get a top 8 pick. I swear I've gotten an insane rate of like the 10 or 11 pick. I think at last like 10 drafts I've been in have been either the 10 or 11 pick, which is fine because I load up with a lot of Garrett Wilson, end up with a lot of like Jahmyr Gibbs, but I would like to have a draft where I don't have the 10 or 11 pick. So we'll see what we end up with in this one. And then I'll pull this up as well because you guys, and the 9 pick. Okay. Every draft, that 9 is probably the worst pick you can possibly have. 9, 10, 11, every draft. It's completely ridiculous. Okay. There is the board for all of you to see. Wonderful. Someone asked about the Underdog one. If you have signed up for Underdog, number one, you didn't get an email. Number one, check spam because it's definitely possible. It went into there, spam, trash, something like that. If that's not the case, it's always the following morning. So if you sign up today, following morning is when I get your email. I will send out that information so you can get the rankings for free again. If you sign up for Underdog with promo code FFA, deposit at least $10 or else it won't get to me. Then I'll email you the following morning to log into my redraft Underdog rankings for free. If that happens, you signed up for your first Underdog account, use promo code FFA, deposit $10, and you still don't get it, email support. Go to my website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. There's a support tab. Click that. Send me an email. I'll figure it out. Does the CMC injury affect his ranking? So kind of glad we don't have the 101 because I don't have to make that call right now. We just found out about it today, so I feel like I still want news to kind of drop for that. How bad's the injury? Not going to play in the preseason. Calf injury. Not great. Hamstring's an actual like injury like an MCL sprain or like, an ACL, something like that is obviously worse. Achilles. But in terms of these like smaller injuries, hamstring's the worst because it's like such a high, like the highest rate of re-injury. Just takes a while for that explosiveness to come back. You can miss a long time. Calf is tricky though, because like remember Burrow last season, we kind of thought he'd be good to go. It was week like 5 before Burrow was fully good from that calf injury. So I want to kind of hear about the severity. It doesn't seem like they're concerned, in which case I don't think we should be too concerned. But, if this was a reason for you to go with CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill over Christian McCaffrey, knowing that they're currently not injured right now, I think that would be totally fine to do. I definitely would not go further than that. So Lamb and Hill are in that top tier behind McCaffrey. I would not be drafting Breece Hall or Bijan Robinson right now over McCaffrey. I would not be going after that tier of like Chase, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying Brown. Wouldn't be going after that. But if you wanted to like play around with Lamb or Tyreek Hill, I think that's fine. For right now, I'm not touching the rankings, but we'll see. So will we get lucky? Will we get one of Bijan or Breece Hall at this pick? Odds are we will not. There are clear top 8 players this season. Pretty much all drafts, those top 8 players go. I have Garrett Wilson as that 9th player. I hate having picked 9 because it forces me to take him over A.J. Brown, and usually A.J. Brown goes. But it's kind of just how every draft seems to go for me. I have a late pick in this spot because no computer ever wants to give me a top 8 pick. And then I end up with Garrett Wilson. Would love Jahmyr Gibbs at this one, but at 9, probably not going to happen. So we'll see what happens. And I'll pull up. I think during this turn, I'll probably keep it on this screen And then on like the long term, I'll pull up the like actual draft board because I don't want to have to go back and forth too much after this. So everything has happened pretty much to script in this draft, as it does in the first 2 rounds. One change would be St. Brown, Jefferson, Chase. I think reverse of ADP, although St. Brown and Jefferson are approaching each other in ADP right now. Usually Chase does go first, but I mean, that's such a minor difference. Top 8 were normal, then A.J. Brown. People are definitely scared off of Puka Nacua because he has this multi-week injury. We'll see with that one. I mean, these first 2 bits of injury with Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey, those are the first 2 that we've really seen that like could be like long-lasting. They'll miss time in camp. It can threaten them into the season. I don't think it will for either one of them, but yeah, people have been off of Puka. I think his ADP is dropping. You see it at 11. It was hovering at 10 the entire summer. If it's at 11 now, people are taking him a lot later. Nothing weird has happened to this point. Again, this is a really terrible spot to be in. Having the 9 pick, it's like the worst spot you can be in. I'd consider Saquon here, but it's like I've gotten Saquon so often, like pick like 20 and on, that taking him at 16 feels kind of gross. So I do hope I end up with Olave here, but we'll see what happens. Okay, Drake. Okay, good. I'll take Olave. It's not a bad start. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, but let's just hope that we can get some sort of value a little bit later on in this draft. But yeah, long-winded way of saying currently right now, no. I'm not changing the ranking on McCaffrey, but if you want to change it, go for it. What bets do you offer in that tier? I don't know what that tier is, but if we're talking about like if you got all in, like what is the betting portion of the site, or if you just got the betting portion, I have a model that does money line, spread, and total for games, so it predicts that. I do like the Survivor, regular pick'em, so not just spread, like the straight up pick'em for the different weeks, like office pool kind of pick'em. And then I do like props. I'll do like, higher or lowers for Underdog, but then you could use it for basically any site. And I'll throw in touchdown scores when I feel like it. I don't do that a ton, but just general stuff. A lot of questions. Nice, but continue firing them away. 3 wide receiver and a flex format. Would you suggest a running back in the first round, Hall, Bijan, Taylor, etc., or start with a strong wide receiver? Oh, I thought this was a continuation. I think Nate over here just has a black icon. You didn't say if it was PPR or non. If it's full PPR and you can start 3 wide receivers plus a flex, meaning you can start 4 wide receivers, that's when I start really wanting to just have like a just locked in wide receiver core. I start opening up much more risk at running back, saying, you know what, if I miss out on what would only be Hall or Bijan, in full PPR, there's no way I'd take JT in round 1 in a 3 wide receiver format. I'd probably still be fine taking Hall or Bijan, knowing that I could take like 5 straight wide receivers after that if I wanted to. In half PPR, it becomes a little bit more of a conversation. But I still would say in a 3 wide receiver format, my lean would definitely be towards only Hall and Bijan, not doing Jonathan Taylor. And if we want to do Jonathan Taylor, make that your like second pick after that, because I don't think he'll typically go in round 1, even in regular redraft, if it's a 3 wide receiver format. But yeah, my lean is if you're getting an okay value with Hall or Bijan, which would be somewhere in like the middle of the first round, in this general, like in that format, probably like 4 through 8 range. You want to take Hall or Bijan, go for it. If they're there beyond that, go for it. My lean would be only those 2, though. And then I would still want somewhere in the first 3 rounds to get a running back you think can be a league winner. That can still be like Gibbs, Taylor, Achane, Barkley, like Henry, Jacobs, like all those guys can be. Get someone that can be. Don't do a full RB0 and get stuck with like a round 7 running back. Like I do still think the strongest builds lock one of them up. Looks like we have a super chat. Okay. Joined a new league and you have the 110. Okay. League's champ from last year wants to trade you for the 101 and your 4th round pick. So only way you're doing something like that is if it's like pick swaps. I mean, like my assumption with this question, and you can ask more, just like you don't have to do a super chat, obviously, just like put more in there. Are you saying you give up the 110, you get the 101, and then you guys swap 4th round picks, or he just straight up gets your 4th round pick? In which case I'd say, are you like, no, I'm not giving up a 4th round pick just to swap from 101 to 110. I don't think I would. Hold on. I'll continue that after we make this pick here. I don't want to lose the pick. Who's even on the board? So we've got 2 wide receivers. I would love Derrick Henry at this spot. Probably not going to get him. Although I don't think this team will start off with 3. We actually might get him. I don't think this team will start off with 3 running backs. So that would be nice if we got Derrick Henry. Yeah, he doesn't. Okay. Other consideration would be Tank or Diggs. I don't think we'll end up getting either one of them. But I think our strongest build here, is definitely lock up Derrick Henry. Treat him like a hero. 33rd overall is also great value for him. I think that's the average I've picked him in, is 33rd overall. I think that video comes out tomorrow, my most drafted running backs. Yeah, treat him as a hero, right? Assume in this build now, because I drafted him, that he's going to score 17, 18 touchdowns, that he's going to be a, rock solid running back 1, and that I can use that as effectively what would have been my 1st round pick, but having these 2 wide receivers. Whenever you're doing these builds, you got to assume you're right. Don't go to this be like, oh, well, maybe Derrick Henry's going to stink and this pick isn't going to work out. If that happens, you're not winning, especially in something like Underdog. In a redraft league, you can get by, you can squeeze into the playoffs, you can get lucky, you can do trades, stuff like that, lucky in free agency. On Underdog, I got to just assume Derrick Henry goes off in this build. So under that assumption, there's a number of unique things that I can do with the rest of my draft. My favorite is using him as a hero and drafting a ton of wide receivers, quarterback, tight end in the middle rounds. What it looks like, though, is it's possible I do a double running back and then wait for a while, given the value that's there right now. If I wanted to go with wide receiver, we've got Zay Flowers. I've got the risk with Pickens. I don't know if Ayuk's going to be traded to, Pittsburgh, but if he does, this pick tanks. And if he doesn't, it's a neutral value. So I'm not in love with that. Probably wouldn't go after any other wide receiver. So it's only Zay Flowers. Kelsey would be a fine pick, but all the other tight ends are definitely a reach. If we go with quarterback, I love Mahomes, and Mahomes is probably a reach at this point. So you go through all the other positions, you're okay, it's only Kelsey. So if this guy takes Kelsey, I'm probably just sitting here being like, you know what? Give me Isaiah Pacheco, another running back that I think can have a very strong season. I have noted that I kind of want to leave every draft with a Kansas City Chiefs player. I'll have that opportunity. Kelsey goes. So not the end of the world. My top ranked player, top by ADP as well. When that happens, great pick. But yeah, if both these guys finish as very consistent running back 1s, I've just locked up a ton of different weeks where my top running back is taken care of by 2 picks. There's a world I can make this a total 3 running back draft. Typically, I make this a 4 running back team, which means we're going to have a lot of opportunities at other positions to stack up. But we'll see what kind of gets there. So yeah, to finish that off, basically my assumption here is you're saying you move up from 110 to 101. That's a lot of value. You're either going to get McCaffrey or you're going to get CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill, whichever one of your favorite is there, instead of having what would likely not be a top running back, so would likely be one of A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, probably A.J. Brown or Garrett Wilson, to be completely honest. That's probably what you're hoping for at the 110. To just straight up lose your 4th round pick, which could be someone in a redraft league, that could be a solid wide receiver. Tank Dell, Pittman, Devonta Smith. If one of those players available at that spot, it would also be an early 4th round pick. No, I think 4th is too early. If we also look at historical success rates, round 1, 2, way up here. It's 90%. And by success, when I defined it, was a start-worthy player. So you get about a 90% chance in rounds 1 and 2 of getting someone who's going to be able to start on your team, which you're kind of hoping going into it, but usually it's injuries that knock that out. 3, 4, 75%. 75%. Nice, right? Pretty strong. Round 5, it drops to less than 50%. Round 6, 7, it starts to crater. Starting in round 8, you're at 25%, which is way lower than you would think. But a 25% chance starting in round 8 of getting a start-worthy player with that pick. So I don't really want to give up a round 4 pick if there's only 4 real rounds of very, very locked-in production. So it's a no for me. If you can push it to round 6, now I'm starting to be okay, way lower success rate. way better player in that first round. I'm keeping my second round pick. Now I'm thinking, okay, I've got two really strong players, but not round 4. It's too early for me. Okay. What else do we have here? Will you be doing... Oh, let's go on. Apologies. I will have to be drinking. I don't usually drink during these, but I've got to do it. Again, we are recovering from COVID. COVID number 3 this time. It's deep inside of me, the cough. It wants to come out. I would like to not have a coughing attack during these. Will we be doing the breakdowns for ESPN picks, like where the site has some players ranked too high, too low? Yep, the next week. So I've got that app up and running. Some people reached out saying some players are missing. Yeah, because Marvin Harrison Jr., Devon Achane, everyone wants to spell it differently. All like ESPN wants to spell it differently than Yahoo wants to spell it differently than Sleeper. So I fixed all that. It's free on the website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. You can go right now. You can be like, oh, I play on ESPN. I want the running backs to the best values. Boom, you'll get it. I'll make a video, multiple videos for all the different platforms starting in 5 or so days. I believe this weekend could be the first one, but yes, very soon those are going to start dropping. Finally have good ADPs. Finally have the app up and running. Okay. What do we got? So again, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers for us right now. I love Jacobs, and if we could get Jacobs, okay, I think we might do it, and we're going to make a very unique build and only draft 3 running backs. Henry, Pacheco, Jacobs would be our only 3 running backs we draft. It's a little risky because there is a chance that there's a great running back available at one of the next picks. But I don't see something that I really want. If there were a wide receiver that was clearly standing out to us, I mean, I really like Godwin. I would love if we got him. We probably won't. I don't think Godwin was worth losing this build. So we're going to get a lot of value here. And what I also like is we've done this while also drafting wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. If we drafted running back, you start to get into a build where it's like, okay, I could leave the draft with 10 or 11 wide receivers, but I don't have that elite one. And it's like, yeah, I'm racking up a ton of them in the later rounds, but the likelihood is most of those are either going to bust or be pretty mediocre. Your weekly ceiling is still somewhat capped. Because we started in round 3 and took that first running back, we can still capitalize on having, whether we want a billion wide receivers, maybe we want to go with a 3 quarterback build, maybe we want to go with a multi-tight end build, like 3 or probably not 4 tight ends, but 3 tight ends. We still have that upside at wide receiver that we need. We can still have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, have a dominant season, and it doesn't leave us being like, oh, we have these, 3 running backs that are elite. We have no upside at the position. So a note there. We're not going to get Godwin. He goes. Jaden Reed also goes. I mean, I would like a Doomsday. Yeah, these are 3 wide receivers we consider. Oh, I definitely would do Pitts as well. Oh, Pitts goes. Okay. I wouldn't do a quarterback. The only one, I would do Stroud if I had a Houston pass catcher, but I don't. And I don't really want to do a naked Stroud. I'd get his tight end, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's not worth it there. Okay. And there's no reason to play the ADP game here either, because we're not getting multiple of these pass catchers. So I should just take the one I have highest in the rankings. So we'll take a Dunze. All right. It's coming together nicely. Okay. I like the team. Again, we're done with running back. So we're going to be capitalizing a lot in these rounds, some high ups and wide receivers. Hopefully they don't fall off too much. We can still go to quarterback, still go to tight end if that happens. Jordan Mason value skyrocketing for multiple reasons. I mean, Mason was already pushing Elijah Mitchell in that backup role. If now we have this injury to Christian McCaffrey, yeah, I mean, his value is going way, way, way up. It's still questionable, though, because we don't know who the starter is going to be when everyone is healthy. But if McCaffrey and Mitchell are both hurt right now, yeah, value's going up a lot for Jordan Mason. Can you whisper sweet nothings about Kyle Pitts? You've been in on him all summer, but you're starting to stress out. I'm going to need to cough first. So everyone mute your ears. Actually, I'll just mute. All right. Hopefully that holds us for a little bit. Again, we're recovering from COVID right now. Yeah. I mean, I almost drafted Pitts. I would have drafted him if I was available to. It's really just everything's getting better. And of course, he's, I don't want to say a generational prospect, but a very, very high-end prospect. Pass attempts going up. Pass accuracy going up. Competition, maybe Mooney can do something. Maybe Rondell Moore can do something, but maybe not. It's really just London and Bijan in the receiving game. So we know the target's going to be there. We know there's going to be more of them. He's had terrible quarterback play. Could he completely tank? Sure, but he's been injured in recent seasons with terrible quarterback play and terrible coaching. So, like, everything's getting better, and you are getting him, second to last in this elite tier of tight ends. So you're not spending the premium pick on him. Like I said before, success rate really drops off in rounds 5 and 6. So less opportunity cost than if you had to take him in rounds 3 or 4, given, the success of running backs and wide receivers. That's why I like him a lot. But, if he happened to bust this season, I don't think anyone would be completely shocked about it. Half PPR, 3 wide receiver. Keep Flowers in the 9th or Zamir in the 15th. Probably Flowers. I think the difference between round 9 and 15 isn't wide enough for me to say Zamir is a good pick, but there's a pretty big gap between the two, and especially in a 3 wide receiver format, you're getting a lot of value having that high-end wide receiver. And yeah, just 9 through to 15, I don't think there's enough of a gap there. I just take the best player at that point. 12-team, half PPR, 103. Is Bijan or Breece a good pick? Which would you lean? My lean is still Bijan over Breece. I'm fine if you want to go the other way. Yes, they're both good picks. Comes down to how many mock drafts you've done. Are you okay with teams that start off with Lamb or Tyreek Hill? Basically, what do you think on your platform the odds are you're going to get a running back the next pick? If you think you really can't get a running back at that 2-3 turn, yeah, I think they're good picks, and my lean would be Bijan. There's just so many good wide receiver values in the middle rounds this season that sometimes you got to just bite the bullet, take that running back in round 1 or 2, lock them up at pretty solid value, even if you have to reach a little bit, because you're going to get just sweet wide receiver value a little bit later. Okay, we're on deck. Oh, nope, we're up. Again, no running back for us. So we're not doing that. We'll get up these 3. Yeah, I think JSN is pretty clearly, he's clearly the top wide receiver. Ferguson's a strong pick here. Hopefully we can get him with the next pick. And we don't have a stack to really make with quarterback right now, so I don't really want to reach on anyone. Yeah, I think JSN's just a pretty clear top choice. That was an easy one. Would love to get Ferguson, but I don't think we're going to. I'd be good with Jameson. I'd be good with... I feel like these two, those are really, the only 2 wide receivers I really want. At 88, I wouldn't want to reach for quarterback here. That's tough. I think I want these 3. I don't know that I want anyone else at this pick. So we'll see what happens, but there's 4 picks to go, so I need 2 people to not take them. I don't know if that's going to happen. So what's our backup plan? I don't really want to go with Hopkins at 88. I have him at 96. This is one of the risks of doing the running back early, though, is that the best pick here probably is going with a running back. Could we even go with Burrow? Because we can get Yosivas, we can get maybe we would. Maybe Burrow would be the pick if both of these guys go. A little bit of confidence because we had a running back get taken. Gosh, I need another running back to go. This team's probably not going to take running back, though. This team might. They both already have a tight end, so we're hoping Ferguson stays on the board. But yeah, I think these 3. I think we would go with Burrow, and we just try and get Yosivas, and we try and get Mike Gesicki in the final 2 rounds. Nice. Okay. But we don't have to do it. Because I didn't want to. I still would prefer to, oh, okay, wow, both. Nice. Okay, so running backs get taken. We get bailed out there, and we just take Jake Ferguson. Okay, this is a good build so far. Pull up the team so you guys can see that. Wonderful. Thoughts on Nico versus Waddle? Yeah, it's a brutal one. I can't tell what the rankings have because we've already been to that point. Basically, I want to make a video on those. And the video was supposed to be on Thursday, them versus Ayuk. The problem was I didn't know what to do with Ayuk because it was like, is he getting traded or not? And so I didn't want to make that video. So maybe we'll make that video the following week. We can kind of figure out. And if Ayuk gets traded to like a terrible situation, then we can just we can just like add a different third player in there. My general take in my mind is Nico, I think, on average, will outscore Jalen Waddle. He is the starting X receiver on a team that's going to feature the X. He is a phenomenal wide receiver. I mean, his success rates versus man and press like prove that he's an alpha. He is an elite wide receiver. He's probably top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I know his name because he like took a little while to break out. It's not there as much. He's such a good wide receiver. You pair that with CJ Stroud on a pass-first offense, like so much upside there. And it's like Waddle has that upside, but like he does still have Tyreek Hill ahead of him. And I think Diggs is a good player. I think Tank Dell's really good. I think there's a world where Nico just like continues what he did last season and just like continues breaking out, is used heavily deep downfield. And I just worry with Waddle that for as long as Tyreek Hill is healthy, he's going to have those spiked weeks, but you're going to just prefer Nico on a week-to-week basis. So I think my lean is Nico. I don't know exactly what the rankings have right now, and I want to make that video. I think my gut says go with Nico there, though. Where you guys got McCaffrey now? Talked about them in the beginning, so you can kind of like skip back. And also, for those of you who like join a little bit later on, whenever you join one of the live streams, I personally would watch it at 1.25 speed, and I would just go back. So if you missed, you're like, oh, I joined like 20 minutes in, just go 20 minutes back, watch on 1.25 speed, and if there's a part where you don't care about, you don't care me talking about a certain player, you can just kind of fast forward a little bit, and then you'll get up to live. But if you haven't seen McCaffrey, got the calf injury. We don't know right now, but calf scares me a little bit. I'm still taking him number one overall probably. But if you have any hesitation, you probably shouldn't have hesitations with like your first 4 picks. You want to be locked in on them. So if you have hesitations, take one of Lamb or Tyreek Hill first. You're slated to land Tyreek Hill at 103 this year. Do I intentionally avoid Achane if he's best available at 2-3 turn to avoid 2 Miami players? I don't think you intentionally avoid it. I'll fully answer that in a second because I'll maybe talk about the players if they're like available at that spot we would go with. Well, we have the Dak stack, and he's the top ranked player plus the top by ADP, and we have Jake Ferguson, and we don't have a quarterback. So if there's ever been an easy pick in fantasy football, it's this one. That was just incredibly obvious. We're going to take that pick. After this, I haven't been a Bowers fan, so good, he's gone. Okay. I wouldn't mind the double quarterback here, going with Jaden Daniels, capture some upside there. There's like a lot of hype about Jaden Daniels right now. Like players on the team, coaching staff, it's like, the coaching staff's going to hype him up, but they're very excited about him, especially his accuracy. If he's going to run as much as he is too, I don't know, man. And you can get his stacking partners later on. Yeah, he goes. He probably should have gone there. Okay. But I would have taken him with the next pick. We're not going to go tight end. I would take Lockett if he was there. I don't think he will be. And if he's not, I would probably just take Brandon Cooks. Running back, something would have to blow my socks off to like just break apart this. Tyjae Spears would be in consideration. I like him. If we had a stack for Purdy, I'd consider it. Caleb Williams wouldn't be bad. We already have a Dunze, and we could also it's the same bye week, though. That stinks. But we're probably going to draft 3 quarterbacks on this team because we have that upside. I'm not having 3 running backs. If someone took Cooks, I'd consider Caleb here. Because then I could just take a 3rd quarterback so this week 7 bye week doesn't affect me. I could take 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends. Okay. We'll just take Brandon Cooks. But I could. if I wanted to, take Caleb Williams there. 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends, we're up to 6. 3 running backs, we're up to 9. 18 picks. That leaves us with 9 wide receivers. We took 2 to start, and that's a great spot to be in. So it would be completely viable to do that. But I'd rather stack with Brandon Cooks. Okay. Everything is going great, in my opinion. Okay, so that question with Achane. You got Tyreek Hill. Let's say, yeah, like Brees, Bijan, Gibbs, JT, Saquon off the board. Maybe you don't want to go with Kyron, or maybe Kyron's off the board. You said it was, you didn't say the scoring if it's half PPR or full PPR. I think in that spot, wait to 3. Don't force it in the second round. If you get a really good value and he's available in the early 3rd round, take it, because I do think that's a very strong pick. It's going to be a great offense. We shouldn't worry too much about the correlation there. There's not going to be that many games where Miami doesn't score points. In round 2, you're saying, okay, it's not the best value for Achane, and now you are adding that correlation. Wait to 3. If he's there at the 3 pick, I'd be fine doing that. In 6-point passing touchdown, do you think Mahomes is a good pick at the 2-3 turn? No. I'll pull up my rankings because I actually don't know what it says. I know he's a monster in that format, and I do have him as number 1 player. Actually, I want to pull up this way, because I don't want to say that and have him like ranked basically there. All right, I have him ranked basically at the 2-3 turn, because he projects so well. I mean, he projects 12 points better than the next best quarterback with just an insane ceiling. I mean, I have him at 490 for his ceiling for that scoring format. My God. And you're not going to get him at the next pick. In my heart, I can't call it a good pick. I think it's fine. I think I would prefer to get a different pocket passer. Wait a little bit later and grab Stroud, grab Love, grab Burrow, Dak. Goff would be a good option later on. The 2-3 turn, that's just so tough, but I get it. If you want to do it, I sign off on it, but I get it. Is there a minimum you deposit on Underdog to get your rankings for free? Yes, $10. But again, you put the $10 in, they're going to add a 50% deposit bonus, so now you have $15. Just join like 3 slow puppies, right? So you're in 3 fantasy leagues now, plus get the rankings for free. And I think Pomeranians or something are going to come out soon, but they don't tell me when they post stuff. But I think some $3 is going to come out soon, so you can join 5 drafts with that. That's what I prefer. Okay. We should have picked quicker. Polk's going to drop with the rumors with New England, but strong pick still, I think. Oh, Goddard's a good pick this late. Yeah, why don't we do Goddard? Grab another strong tight end. Pull everything up. Yeah, Goddard's top by my rankings. Okay. Because I think Polk's going to drop because latest reports for Ayuk is New England and the Browns are the leading 2 teams. Browns would likely trade Amari Cooper plus picks. New England, I don't think they trade a receiver because they don't have anyone they would probably want. I don't think they would want Polk, although I guess if that happened, Polk's value would go way up. I think they would just want like next year. They probably would want next year's first, but with how bad the Patriots are going to be, there's no way they do that. Maybe next year's 2nd and 4th, but they might have to do a 2nd and 3rd. The thing is they have to pay Ayuk, so it's not just like straight up getting him for like free. I think if the Patriots did a 2nd and a 4th, knowing they're going to be a bottom 3 team, maybe they do that. Maybe like a 2nd, 4th, and like a 6th or something like that. I think they'd probably ask for a 2nd and a 3rd, which again, that would be kind of tough. That's the hesitation people are going to have now with Polk, in that it's like, okay, if Ayuk goes to New England, Polk's value craters. He's still the number 2, but his value craters. If he doesn't, though, it's a great pick at this spot. So you're kind of you're risking it. But if we pull up the other wide receivers, and I do want wide receiver right now, I mean, it's not amazing, right? Did someone take Pearsall already? I'm going to take Polk, by the way. Where did Pearsall go? No. 123? Wow. I mean, so I've been consistently seeing him go at like 150, 155. Maybe people start to freak out now that it really seems like he's leaving. Polk is my most, or Pearsall's my most roster player by like a lot. Like I think I have like close to 37% of him right now. Hold on, why do I how do I do that? I pull up drafts, and I think you can pull up completed. This season, I can pull up. Why don't I pull up all of them? Because I'm in other drafts that are not Best Ball Mania. I have 36.4%. Next highest roster player is Devontae at 26%. So we're really hoping for the trade right now for Pierce. Of course, he's like hurt again. Doesn't seem to be major or anything, but these are the main exposures if you guys want to see that. I have a video tomorrow again talking about the top 5 exposed players and like why I have so much of them. Pull it up like this. You're going to miss out the first few rounds, but is what it is. Could we work on restructuring the auction pays using your value metric or projected points over replacement? I don't know what the question is there. Work on restructuring your auction price values using... Right now, the auction values work on value. That's exactly how they're calculated. Probably at some point when I get time, I want to restructure auction to work off of value, but then also recalculate based off of total values, if that makes sense. Right now, it's just like an adjustment based on value. The recent one that I did is right in line with the industry. So if you look at like a number of different platforms that I definitely trust, the projections are right in line with where they should be based on value. When you guys start going in on custom rankings and fiddling with value, that's when auction can kind of vary a little bit. So I want to kind of adjust how it's calculated, but there's not enough time at the current moment to do that. That's more of an off-season project for that. But if you just straight up pull up like the full PPR, half PPR standard, like those ones, those are in line with industry where they should be. Are the new pre-snap motion rules going to impact Hill, Olave, Debo rankings? No, because I don't think anything has actually occurred that's going to change anything. I think people are like overreacting a little bit too much. There's like a new rule out there, but pretty much everything that was allowed last season is still going to be allowed. And at least 2 of the teams we're talking about there, Tyreek Hill, Debo Samuel, they have coaching staffs that are going to be able to scheme them open, even if there's a slight difference there. I'm not going to like not draft Tyreek Hill because maybe he can't use exactly the same pre-snap motions before. We're still going to be seeing it. But yeah, that like cheat motion thing is like kind of still a thing. I think it's like overblown how much that's talked about. What's your outlook on Jonathan Brooks as a low-end running back 2 in PPR, given the recent look at him being healthy starting like week 3, week 4? Let's make this pick first, and then yeah, we'll talk about Jonathan Brooks there. So we're 153. We have 1 quarterback right now. We don't have an Atlanta player, and you don't really want to take a naked Cousins. We have Garrett Wilson with our first pick and a different bye week with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I'll wait for my next pick to take him. No running backs are value. We can really try and capitalize on news and grab Douglas. Maybe we do that. Basically saying, if Ayuk doesn't go to New England, which I'm still crossing my fingers happens, I can grab, a nice little Polk Douglas stack. Maybe we end up going with Drake May as that 3rd quarterback. Because again, we have the luxury of like overstacking quarterback here because of what our running back situation looks like. People are letting them slide a little bit past where they should. Because Douglas is a really strong pick. I know it took him like slightly ahead of his ADP. He's a very, very strong pick if Ayuk doesn't go there. If Ayuk goes there, not as good. Yeah, outlook on Brooks is I love taking him because I'm a risk taker. I just like opening yourself up to a little bit more risk because it's going to capture a lot more upside. The report came out that it's like he's probably not going to have, either not going to play or not going to have a full-time role start the season. Maybe week 3, week 4, he's kind of fully healthy. Maybe it's more like week 5, 6, 7 to where they're like more fully unleashing him. To me, where you're drafting him is not where you need him to start the season. You don't need Jonathan Brooks for where you're getting him right now to start week 1, week 2, week 3. So you don't really care that he's not out there that much. Going to be improved offense, going to be a run-first offense. They're going to use him in the receiving game. I love him still, and if this news is going to drop his ADP by even more, We already knew that he wasn't going to start the season fully healthy, so why would we panic when it's confirmed that what we knew was accurate? By all means, let's tank his ADP. And because I actually haven't gotten a ton of him, if he's going to tank past, so I'll pull it up in a second. We'll take Aaron Rodgers when we're able to do so here in a second. Make your pick here. All right. Take Rodgers. Where he goes is this general range of like James Conner, Stevenson, Zamir, Najee, Warren, Swift, Mostert. I skipped over Brooks. But Brooks, obviously, he goes in that general range. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think James Conner's going to have a very strong role. Hold on. I'll pull this up for you guys. James Conner's going to have a really good role to start the season. Stevenson's, running back one on a terrible team, but he's the best running back on that team. Should have reception upside. Zamir could have 20 carries a game. Najee can be run first offense. He can be the goal line back. Warren on that same run first offense, highly efficient back. So it's like, these are still good players who are going to have roles this season. Brooks deserves to be in this range. If this news kicks him more to this like Chase Brown, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, especially if it's Singletary, Pollard, Spears, Brian Robinson, we're hammering all the Spears we can get if he's going in that range, even if he's going slightly before that range, because there's a definite drop-off in talent when especially we look at like Brian Robinson, Javonte Williams, Devin Singletary. There's a lot of unknowns in those situations. To get Brooks, who once healthy is the clear-cut lead back, I think he'd be featured in weeks like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's when we want him to be featured, when the weeks matter the most in the fantasy playoffs. Yeah, I think he's a great pick. Again, if he falls into that range, love scooping him up. But he's been going typically closer to here, which has been harder for me to get behind, especially if a lot of times I'm trying to load up a wide receiver in that general range. If he always goes after it, I'm loving it. How do I balance prioritizing a stack versus a player with added ADP value? For example, deciding between Stroud and Dak to stack with CD around pick 90. So, obviously, it's a very different discussion on redraft and underdog. On redraft, I truly don't care about the stack. Go for the better player value. On underdog, the stack does matter a lot, and especially for someone like Stroud. For you to think that you're going to draft two quarterbacks, that Stroud's going to have you advance to the week 17 finals, he's dropping nukes, right? That means that, Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs, players you didn't draft early on, are going off. And it's a ton of people did take that stack. And so you're just falling behind. I would probably just lean towards being I have this stack with CeeDee Lamb in particular, someone that if he pays off the second overall pick is dropping a ton of nukes and taking Dak Prescott with him. I'd lean towards the stack. Research I have done has pointed to 2 rounds. So you can throw a lot of conventional wisdom out the door when you get 2 rounds of ADP value, especially when it's on a player that you like, right? Not 2 rounds of ADP value on someone who's falling. So always keep up with, I have on the website that risers and followers tab. Keep up with that, right? If someone's dropping an ADP, it's more closing line value. It's more okay, come week 1, what is his final ADP? Given that value, if you're able to get someone 2 rounds after that, it's just always worth it. Whether it was a stack or not, whether it was a bad pick in a process, like taking a third quarterback too early, taking too many running back, wide receiver, no matter what that is, if it is 2 rounds of value or more, you can feel confident just taking it, knowing that it's a very strong pick, and that even if it doesn't correlate, you can take it. I mentioned that because Stroud's ADP is around pick 70. If you're taking Dak at pick 90, you're actually starting to get into the range where it's maybe I just take Stroud for that value and I can stack him a little later. So 2 rounds is what I typically say. We need to make a pick here. Oh, we're not going to take, we want that. Oh, okay, we didn't take that. Okay. We can't get that. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself in my head here. I wanted to get someone in the queue. I feel like Mims Corley would be a really strong duo here. And Baker, we don't have a Tampa Bay. Yeah. Go with Mims, wide receiver 2 on Denver. Elite prospect last season, in my eyes, misused for sure. If we can get Corley as well with the next pick, we've got that nice Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Malachi Corley stack. Corley, a schemed player, not going to command a high target share, but a really, really good player with the balls in his hands. If we have a week where they're peppering Garrett Wilson with targets, and then all of a sudden, Malachi Corley has 2 screen passes he takes to the house. Are we looking at 304 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers, who I got a significant discount? We're opening up a huge ceiling. So I don't love Corley as much in redraft leagues, but in best ball, especially when I can get him with Aaron Rodgers, I love it. He goes, unfortunately. So we can't get him. But yeah, it would have been a great pick there. If we look at all picks, okay, so we're walking into Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is about to be close to 2 rounds of a value. We already said we're probably going to want to take a third quarterback, but Geno is also on the board. And if Geno can stay healthy, if Geno can run the offense the way I think he can, I don't think they'll bench him late season. If they do, it's not the end of the world because I have Dak and I have Aaron Rodgers, so it'd be the end of the world if I only had 2 quarterbacks. And I have the JSN stack. I don't think I can get, I can't get the other one there. The only thing I'm thinking of with Baker's, I could technically do, I can't even do it. He's already gone. Wow. Estime goes to 1. All my favorite picks are going too early now. Where did McMillan go? 168? Oh my gosh. Camp hype, am I right? I mean, we were taking him at 215 earlier this summer. All right, I'm taking Geno. We get Dak, Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, all stacked. We have Dak with Jake Ferguson. We have Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson. And we could do Xavier Gibson in the final round because they do want to use him this season. And he's got that little bit of upside with the return game. Doesn't help us with the stack, but that upside there. And then Geno with JSN. Okay. And what are we at? We're at like pick 17, 18, so we have 2 picks left. I love it so far. Okay. How does the Ayuk trade affect the rankings depending on where he goes? Okay. If he goes to the Browns, you have that whole situation of, is Watson good anymore? And we don't know the answer to that. The thing is, their backup is Jameis Winston. So you almost hope that Deshaun Watson's terrible, that they go with Jameis, because, oh my goodness, Brandon Ayuk in a spread offense with Jameis Winston at quarterback, we're going to be singing his praises, a top 5 wide receiver every single week. So Browns opens up a lot of upside with how much they're going to throw the ball and just how much he'd be the top wide receiver. Because again, Amari Cooper would go to the 49ers. So it'd be Ayuk, and then what? Judy, Elijah Moore, who's probably a bust at this point. I know I like him, but he's probably a bust at this point. Cedric Tillman, it'd be Ayuk by a mile. So that'd be great. Probably would increase in value. Probably would be, I'll put Marvin Harrison. He'd be with it'd be like, where'd Harrison go here? Yeah, it'd be like, we have this like Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. I still think Puka deserves to be last in that tier. But it'd probably be a tier of Puka, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake London, Olave, and Ayuk, with Ayuk being right next to like Harrison Jr. in that general range. If he goes to New England, massive target share, but a terrible offense. And it'd be a low volume offense. It'd be significantly less efficient. Probably still a higher volume total offense than San Fran. San Fran doesn't throw the ball. So like the total play increase for Ayuk if he went to the Browns would be great. So that'd be a downgrade. My guess is he'd come out projected. I have to do the projections, but I think he'd be around in redraft league, he'd be around 3 pick. On Underdog, he'd be at the 2-3 turn probably. The Steelers, that would also kind of stink because you'd have a terrible offense in my eyes still. I just don't like their coaching staff. But just lackluster quarterback play. You'd have Pickens on the other side. They'd be running it a ton. I think New England and Pittsburgh, he'd have a very similar ranking in round 3 of redraft, 2-3 turn on Underdog. Yeah, you want Browns for fantasy. If you have shares of Ayuk, you want Browns. But again, I'm a New England fan, so I still hope he goes to New England. We should have just drafted him instead of stupid N'Keal Harry. Okay. Do we want Gibson with this pick? I mean, he's going to be there at the next spot. We should probably take another tight end. Do we go with Gesicki? I like Tucker Kraft, too. Do we just grab Gibson? No one's going to draft Xavier Gibson. I just don't even know who I would draft here. Yeah, because Dortch is gone. Dortch would be my other favorite. I'll just take Gibson because we knew we were going to take him. Should we take a tight end? Comment section. Tight end or wide receiver here? We do have 9 receivers. So we can go with a 3-3-10-2 build. We've got Ferguson and Dallas Goedert. So it's like at tight end, I'd be looking at Gesicki. Maybe Chig. Because I want Jelani stacked. And Tucker Kraft. Like those would be the 3 I'd be looking at. Or I'd take a shot. I probably should have pulled up who these teams play. Ugh. Because I don't really want to go after like Jake Bobo. Tolbert's gone. So there's no Dallas player I want. I already took the Jet stack. So stack isn't... What do we think? Let me know who I should take here. I feel like my gut is saying you go with Hyatt. I think Hyatt has the most upside. I probably should move Hyatt over Slayton in the rankings. Hyatt has just more weekly upside. You could go with Burks. Do you think Burks kind of takes some of that role? No one's telling me who to draft. None of you are helping me. There's 123 in here, and no one can give a take on if I should go tight end or... I probably had enough time to pull up the final weeks here. Okay, Dallas plays nothing that we want. Jets in Seattle. Seattle plays nothing that we want. Jets play nothing that we want. Okay, none of that helped. Tight end. All right. I would say... Okay, so hear me out on the Gesicki one. I take a lot of Gesicki. My thought is the Bengals are awesome, right? Number one, he's just a great pass catcher. If he actually earns an every down role, he could be great. Number two, if we get into those final weeks, people are going to have Jamar Chase. They're going to have Chase Brown and Zach Moss. They're going to have T. Higgins. They're going to have Yosevas. They're going to have Burton. Like, ton of people, right? They're going to score points. What if Gesicki scores 2 touchdowns? Not only am I running laps around people at tight end, like, I mean, not maybe running laps, so like maybe it's an out to kind of run laps there. But what if like that really hurts Chase and Higgins and Yosevas and like Chase Brown? And like it really hurts a ton of players that were probably pretty good all year and, you know, are drafted heavily on teams in the fantasy playoff weeks. That's my general thought on why I take him with like the final pick. I do it a lot when I just draft Burrow because there's obviously a heavy correlation there. But that's just a thought. I think it would have been fine going with another wide receiver. But I do understand that like if we look at my wide receivers, did I really need a 10th? We've got Garrett Wilson, Olave, Adunze, JSN, Cooks, Polk, Douglas, Mims, Gibson. Like I think we can find 3 or 4 of those every week. I think the team turned out pretty nicely, but let me know what you guys think. And thank you for the people who finally voted. Okay, we definitely fell behind in the questions. We did not answer a lot of these, so I'll try and bank some of these out. We definitely cannot do another draft because I don't think my lungs could handle it. I'm probably going to cough for like 15 minutes after we get off of here. But I'll try and answer some of these. Did we get a Kyler versus Love versus Burrow versus Dak video? No, I haven't done quarterback yet. Yeah, that'd probably be a good one to break down. I do think Kyler has the most upside of that grouping, and I'm typically looking for upside there. So I would probably do Kyler, then Burrow, then Love, then Dak. But Love and Dak would be very, very close for me. I think I would just prefer Kyler the most amongst that group. Your favorite receivers in a standard scoring league in the round 3? Ugh, standard scoring league. Do you mean standard as in like a normal scoring league that's half PPR, or do you actually mean standard? If you actually mean standard, Metcalf, because he can get touchdowns. Mike Evans can get touchdowns. You're just looking for touchdowns in a standard scoring league. So, yeah, Metcalf, Evans. But I mean, running backs would just like take the cake in round 3. You'd be pushing up quarterback. I don't know if I'd even go with a wide receiver in round 3 because quarterback would gain value. These elite tight ends would gain value. You'd be wanting to hammer running back. So I don't know if I'd even take a wide receiver there. How high would you take Malik Neighbors looking like a superstar? Man, I mean, yeah, people are taking him at the end of round 2 right now. I just can't do it on Underdog. Like, he's looking like a superstar, but you're taking him ahead of Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, Ayuk, Metcalf, Devonta Smith. We know they're superstars. So, like, yeah, he's looking like a superstar. He better be. You're taking him ahead of superstars. In a redraft league, good with him in late round 3, maybe. Where do I have him in half PPR? I think he deserves to go in this tier, but I feel like he deserves to go in the end of this tier. I still think you're taking him at like 27 through 29 on Underdog. Where do I have him ranked exactly on Underdog? Underdog, I have Neighbors 29th, so that's where I was saying I would kind of take him. Half PPR scoring, I have Neighbors 311. Yeah, I think late 3rd round in a general half PPR league. But yeah, he looks real good. It's still a bad offense, though. ESPN starts 7. You're drafting from 10, 12. What does that mean? You're drafting from 10 in a 12-team pick? Yeah, okay. So you have 10 and 15. You like the sound of Gibbs at 10. Who should you get in second round? Any advice? If you're taking Gibbs at 10, that likely means your wide receiver choice is because I'm thinking someone else will take like Taylor or like Saquon or something. 15, you're probably looking at Puka, Harrison. If at 15, you could get, let me pull this up. So in redraft, I still really like the start that would be like Gibbs, JT, Saquon. If you could get 2 of those players, I would do it just knowing that like you're going to get sick wide receiver value in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That you kind of don't need those first 2. So I would double dip. Personally, I would double dip if you can. If you can't, it likely means that one of Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, or Marvin Harrison Jr. Actually, it guarantees that one of them is available, and you go with them in order of Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Josh Jacobs, a much draft. Watch tomorrow's video. You're not worried about CMC at all. I mean, right now, I wouldn't be, and I'd still take him first overall. But again, I get it if you want to take the wide receivers. Superflex Auction League. What ranges of quarterback are you targeting? Would it be the move to grab? Yeah, I actually do think it would be solid to grab 2 of Love, Burrow, Dak, Kyler. Research I've seen preliminary. Again, I'm going to have a huge Superflex study next offseason, but not time to do it this offseason. Worst thing you can do in a Superflex league is take 2 quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, so don't do that. But if you're targeting 2 of that range, it probably means you went running back or wide receiver in round 1, and then maybe round 2, 3 grab quarterback, which I think is a sharp thing to do. If you could get like Love, Kyler, I'd love that. That'd be a great start in my eyes. And you get no value here. Yeah, I feel like this was a pretty sharp draft. I feel like nothing really fell. I do think Henry was really good value. I think Pacheco was a strong pick, and then Jacobs. I think we got good value in these 3, and then it allowed us to open up everywhere else. But basically, I think Ferguson was a good pick for value, and then the Dak. I think the Dak Ferguson 8 and 9 was really strong. And Dallas, that was a good pick getting Dallas there. But other than that, yeah, there was no real strong value in this draft. Okay, a couple more, and then we got to get out of here. Assuming you're in a 3 wide receiver full PPR redraft league, what's the lowest running back you'd be okay with the running back 1? I know you're leaning hero this year, but it's a bit less ideal in those settings. No, yeah, it's much less ideal in full PPR when you can start 4 of them. Last, I'd be good with as my running back 1. I would be good with Kyren, Henry, Etienne, Pacheco, Jacobs, James Cook, Mixon. I start to get shaky on Rachaad White, and especially in full PPR, shaky on like Dave Montgomery, Ken Walker. I probably want Kamara. I think, excuse me, Jacobs, James Cook, Mixon, Rashad White, I'd still be good with. Once we exit that range and we get into here, or we get into like, Dave Montgomery, Ken Walker, Jane, all this range, I start to be like, okay, you better have gotten sick value at all these wide receivers. You better have taken, a quarterback, a tight end that you love, and you understand that you need to be aggressively targeting some running backs in that general range, targeting pass catching upside, but also some players who could be featured. I would prefer if you could end up with like Jacobs, Mixon, White, James Cook. That'd be my preference. You love taking one great quarterback in Jared Goff or another quarterback late. You don't know, I don't like taking two quarterbacks after last year. It feels like a good idea. So what you're referencing there is the mass injuries, but like the mass injuries are relatively unlikely to repeat, and you still you didn't know that your quarterback was going to get hurt in week 8, so you were just sitting on a quarterback for a while. I still think if you got an elite quarterback, you're taking one. The data is pretty clear on that. The data is also clear if you wait, do double dip. So if you do wait past that top 11, let's say, double dip. If you're taking the quarterback 12 on, double dip at it. If you're taking like Hurts, Allen, Mahomes, no, I don't think you need to. If you took Anthony Richardson and you're like, Nick, I just need someone later on to like sleep at night, fine. Will you take Gibbs at the 110? Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Okay, two more that I think are good. I feel like most of these are not. What's the ideal strategy in a deeper league, like 14 teams? Would it be hero, best value, positional advantages? I think, personally, when you expand to 14, I want to focus a little bit more on safety. Injuries can really kill you, so that's why I prefer hero. I wouldn't completely abandon running back because free agency is a nightmare, and so you could run into a situation where you're just getting steamrolled by so much at running back that it's over for you. So I would say hero, but don't push it too far. Still kind of build relatively evenly. You probably cannot draft both a quarterback and a tight end early. I still would love a top 10 or 11 quarterback, a top 7 tight end. You got to just pick one, and I do think it comes down to value. Which one of those two happens to be like, oh, Kyle Pitts is available a round and a half later than normal. I want an elite one. I grab him. It just really comes down to that. But I think you got to pick one of those two. Heavily like overload wide receiver, but make sure you're not waiting too much on running back. Is there a way to upload our own rankings into the custom ranking sheet? Technically no, but yes. So when you do the custom ranking sheet, you're pasting in my detailed projections. Number one, you can change that. So if you like a player more, change their detailed projection. Be like, I want 5 more receptions and this many more passing yards, and it'll change. But also there is the button that says you can put high on the input sheet that's like changes. And then when you click more, like a boost players, if you can boost players up like a round. So you can go in there and click boost on like the players you really like, and they'll be boosted in value. So you kind of can, but those are like the 2 ways you would do it. But then you could also just be like, I'm not going to change it. I'm going to start with Nick's rankings, and I'm just going to fiddle around with moving things around. And you can do that. Just understand that the more things you change, the more you open up potential bugs, right? If you're moving too many things around. Okay. That's going to have to be the end of this one. 43 likes, still 99 you in here. Let's hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. I'm pretty sure 100% of people who watch the streams are already subscribed to the channel, but subscribe if you are new here. And remember the Underdog promo. If you are hesitant in spending up for all in, you can still, again, sign up for Underdog for your first account, promo code FFA, deposit at least $10. That'll get you the next morning my Underdog rankings for free, which you can upload to Underdog, help you with those drafts. That'll load as like the pre-draft rankings. Like you'll see it. Well, I guess I can pull active up. You will see it right here. It'll be my rankings that you loaded in, and those are updated like daily. Plus my redraft rankings. So in all your redraft leagues, custom rankings, detailed projections, you get all of that stuff for free following morning. Plus you get the 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So remember that deal. Like the video, subscribe, but I'll catch you guys on the next one.